All right. We're talking about this third section of chapter 9. Show you how to stop your simulation based on the conditions and how to stop the arrival patterns based on um, a timing also. So here we're talking about first there are two issues to do. First is stopping the arrival, and second is stopping the simulation entirely. And first we want to do is stopping arrival based on after 8 hours of clinics open. So that means when entity come in, if the wrong time now, the current simulation time is less than 8 hours, we send them to the receptionist. If it's more than 8 hours, we're going to drop that. Drop the arrival. So here is simple ways to do so. Let me look at that. And stop arrival based on condition. So entity per arrival. So everything like before for the source. The only thing we have a stopping condition. We can specify how long maximum time. So we can stop the arrival using three different ways. First, we specify how many maximum arrival we want, and so I believe we're using some of the technique in the previous homework, and only allow one arrival and to simulate a truck arrival. And maximum time, this is the one we're using this time, is specify after 8 hours we're not going to have any arrival. You can also stop arrival using a specific event, either is a timer, either is a certain special event you create. You can even create an event. So that's the three different ways. Let's take a look at the models itself first, and look at the source portion. And the only thing I want you to pay attention is this section is the stopping criteria. And basically after 8 hours, and the arrival will shut down. Okay, that's easy one. The next thing is to stop the simulation. And we can use either tally statistic or status statistic to stop the simulation. So under the advanced option, we can specify the stopping condition. When every time a new entity passing through the tally block, it will check if there's stopping condition. Or we can using an end run process to stop the entire simulation immediately based on certain event. So now let's take a look how we do this. First, we go to the tally statistic. We call that tally statistic stop replication. And when this, every time a patient come over, I would check the stopping condition. Okay, and the patient populations number in the system is less than or equals to 1, or less than equals to 0, and the runtime is greater than or equals to 8 hours, then we can stop the simulation. Let's take a look in the program how we did this. We go to definition, go to elements, and set up a tally, and the tally actually set up for I don't need to do anything, and it's just setting this stopping condition when the patient's population is less than or equals to 1, which is the last patient leave the system, and then and when the runtime is greater than or equals to 8, then I will stop the simulation, look at the process. When every time when a patient leave the system, go to this exit sync and destroy the entity. Before we destroy the entity, we do a tally process, and the tally process doing just recording what is the current time of the simulation, and we're using this tally we just defined called tally stats stop replication. And finally, the value of that tally will tell me when the simulation will stop. So let's take a look how the system runs. I'm going to let it run a little bit faster so we can see. Okay, so under here we can see that and the simulation actually stopped in 9.73 hours. Let's look at the result as well from the models itself. Okay, from the result section, we can see that since the model, we call it urgent care objects, and we'll say simulation time itself is final observations is 69, total 69 patients. The maximum hours is 9.73 hours, and so on and so forth. So this is the stopping of the simulation time for that. All right, let's also now let's look at how to set experiments. And set up experiments, just go to from your models, and from the result you can insert experiment on portion. Okay, you can insert experiments, and adding here I have experiments on time close. So I want to see over the total simulation after how many hours time closed after the situation. So here we have, so this statistic clinic close value minus the 8 hours. So this is how many hours after the simulation is 8 hours the simulation was closed. So we run this real quick. Okay, so total 100 replication. Okay, total 100 replication, the total time closing after 8 hours, we can see from this box chart. I want to explain this box chart from the simulation, and the box chart actually called a small chart, a plot, and give you the maximum value right here, the minimum value on this black line. And also there is a box over here represent the upper so-called the upper percentile and the lower percentile. And the line inside this box is so-called medium. And then you see these great so-called blue areas over here on the top, on the bottom, represents the area actually, the upper percentile, what is that? And the middle section called the mean confidence interval, meaning there's 95% of confidence interval actually is in this yellow kind of brown area. And also the red dots in the center is called mean, and you have an upper percentile and lower percentile confidence interval. So for the upper percentile and the lower percentile, you always have a confidence interval as well. For the mean itself, you also have a confidence interval. And this concludes this section of 9.3.